And hey, good morning. Here we are to what is today? March 18th. I hope y'all are feeling good this morning. I know a lot of you went out celebrating a little too much last night with St. Patrick's Day, right? Everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day except us alcoholics. We're Irish every day. All right. I don't have my guests on here right now because we're dealing with some kind of technical difficulties this morning. It's not really fun. I got to be honest with you. We're having some real doodles this morning, I guess you'll call it. Cannot seem for the life of me to get this stuff straight. So we will see what's happening, where we're at. All right, we are live though. We are on YouTube. I am Flyboy. This is Tuesday Talk presented by Safe 22 and myself, Flyboy. Today we're going to have Carson Ware and Brandon Henry, the Pit Marine, on with us today. Brandon will talk about how long ago it's been since we got introduced to each other and what he's been doing since. Brandon and I first met each other way back in, pre-COVID. Boy, I don't remember. 2018, maybe? We ended up both wrenching on a set of cars for, boy, oh boy, who was it? Alliance Racing at Virginia International Raceway. That was the day we had 6 cars at the track, 11 accidents, 5 races, got all but 1 car back out for every single race. So we did pretty good with Brandon. So that's where we're at with that. Still waiting on Albert to join us. Let's see how that goes. How was everybody's St. Patrick's Day? Mine was uneventful, other than I spent the day in my garage redoing some wooden furniture, right? Coffee table, end table, thing like that. My first attempt at a redo. Learned a lot, messed up a lot, and still have to change it out. Carson's texting us in. He's trying to get in. Albert's still trying to get in. I know Josh is on here listening, at least. I don't want to turn his camera on because he wants to stay in the background. He's kind of like our Wizard of Oz, right? The man behind the curtain. Josh does a lot of stuff for Safe 22 behind the scenes. He's actually doing our music festival outreach this year. He's got a lot going on with that. He's hooked up with a lot of great promoters, and we're going to be at a few music events. He's going to be at a few music festivals this year for us. That's going to be really awesome. Thank you for joining us this morning. Yes, we are a little bit delayed and a little behind the power curve this morning. Hope everybody sticks around until we get this going just right. Not quite sure why Albert can't get in here just yet, but Carson is signing in. We're just waiting on him to join us, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, I'm going to try to play with our little display here, see if I can't get. Hey, we got Carson's joining us now. He's sitting in the car. So we're going to give him a second to get stationary, get him ready to go, and then we're going to join with Carson here. He said he had to go get himself an energy drink. I don't doubt it. Kids these days thrive on those things. So good morning, Carson, and welcome to Tuesday Talk with Save 22 and Flyboy. You and I have had a couple scheduling conflicts over the past couple weeks, I guess we'll call it. But hey, thanks for jumping on this morning and doing this for us. Thank you very much. It looks very, very sunny and warm where you're at. We will not disclose that at the moment, but thanks for joining us this morning, Carson. How are you?
Doing great, and I appreciate you guys having me. It's an honor, and I'm really excited. I'm glad that we finally jumped over that hurdle of some scheduling issues.
Yeah. Hey, man, you know what? It's hard when you got a 54-year-old and a 25-year-old trying to schedule stuff around, right? So
hey, we make it work. We're a good team.
Make it work. Hey, so you had an interesting experience this year. You want to talk about some ups and downs. you got back into Xfinity racing this year with Mike Harmon and a partnership with your dad's company, Rick Rare Racing. They were able to put you in a seat for Daytona this year, but that didn't work out the way we had all hoped. Racing's one of those up and down things every time you step into the track. And boy, if you don't have some sort of stamina, I get mental fortitude, right? I guess you could really
Absolutely.
you could really get down on yourself. But man, you and I, we talked a lot at Daytona, and why don't you walk me through that a little bit? The joys of being at Daytona, the showmanship, the cluster of everything that's going on, right? The build up, and then, yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so when we put that deal together with Mr. Harmon, and I just want to reiterate how much I appreciate Mike Harmon Racing and that entire group of guys, everybody involved. Everybody on that team, around that team, is real hardcore racers. They love what they do, and nobody wants to be at the track and race hard as much as they do.
They are something else.
They're one of the best groups of people in the racing world, and we knew going into it that it was going to be tough to qualify in, just because a lot of the bigger teams bring extra cars. That's a good paying race. It's the first race of the year. Nobody's tore up anything, so everyone has a little bit of extra ammo to bring to the fight, right?
Right.
So,
right.
We knew going into it that it was going to be pretty tough, but we believed, and honestly, we were capable of making it in the race on time if we didn't have a chance to get as much practice because we had some other issues with things that NASCAR wanted us to check up on and touch up a little bit inside the race car as far as safety stuff goes. And that took away a little bit of our practice time, which hurt. But, with what we were able to do on track, with how little of practice we had and coming out of the box, with, what we had, I was really proud of that. And, obviously it stung to not make the race, but, overall, I think we were all really proud of, the amount of effort that we had put into it, and how quickly we got that car ready. And, what we did speed wise, I think we were all really proud of that. And honestly, I told the guys, I said, let's just use this as more fuel to the fire, and let's come out guns blazing at the next race, and we did that. And, but, I think, where I'm at in my career, and trying, being in a position where I have to qualify into races fairly often, and not being locked into races, definitely takes some pretty thick skin, is a word I guess you could use for it, just because if you have one minor issue, or you make one small mistake, or something that's just a fraction of a second, or whatever it is, and you get sent home, Twitter's gonna be like, "Oh, this guy sucks," and and then the laundry list of things they like to say, and
you gotta you gotta, what? Let's talk about that, because you have been pretty open with your struggles with addiction, and I hear from a lot of people, being out and talking, and I'm not going to compare my public life with your public life at all. They are not the same. Right. But you and I have had discussions on the addiction, and on the recovery, and the mental side of it, and how the sometimes, man, you just don't think you have it. And what Albert and I saw, hey, there's our buddy. Let's bring Albert in, shall we? See, I told you this is just a couple rookies, Carson. You're talking to a couple. We should have a yellow stripe on our ass when we do this. Really. But hey, there's Albert. Welcome to Albert. Carson was just talking about down at Daytona how we really were fast enough on time.
Oh yeah.
And it just went away from us due to, I think it was weather, right? Wasn't it the weather that kept us out?
Yep, weather, and since we didn't have any points from the previous year,
right,
that excludes you from all race activities.
Right. But then we come back, and you know what? We were talking about the addiction and the mental fortitude that it takes, and knowing where you're weak. And you know what? We've heard that already from him. They knew what they had going in. They knew it was going to be an uphill battle. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for us at Daytona, but man, turn right back around, and in 6 days we're down in Atlanta, and I saw you run 30.8, I think it was 30.9. right? I mean, the same speeds as everybody around the board at that place. What a fantastic turnaround. Your spirits were up. Your dad was laughing and joking, right? Everybody was having a great time. It really worked out well for Atlanta. And some people would say, like you were talking about social media saying, well, he only got a 32nd or 35th, or he blew a power steering line and didn't finish. But you know what? For all of us that were there, you did exactly what you said you were going to do. And that is discipline. That is so hard to drive around at 200 miles an hour for an hour, right? Essentially in the back, right?
Yeah.
And know that I have to stay here because there's going to be a big one and I need to avoid it. And we want a points finish because we're looking forward to next week, right? We're trying to do more for the team. This isn't just about me. And man, kudos to you for doing that, because that was a real kick in the balls at Atlanta. I mean, at the end of it, we were just riding around, being happy, being excited. Man,
the plan was executed to a T.
It was.
We got all of our laps back. We were on the lead lap. Mr. Cram and Dawson and all the Mike Harmon guys, they got the car tuned up where we were sucking up in the draft, and we had found a lot of speed towards the end of the race as we kept making adjustments. And I was grinning so big. I was like, we're right where we're supposed to be. I said, we're back on the lead lap. I said, now we can go racing and try to snag a few extra points. And then, like you mentioned, the power steering belt flew off, and that was a bummer, but that is racing also. That's racing.
Well, if you do this sport long enough, Carson, shit like that's going to happen, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Right? Dale Earnhardt lost the Daytona 500 by hitting a seagull. I mean, what? It happens. Yep. It happens. But hey, you know what? Let's Albert, what do you got for him this morning? I did have a list of questions, but with everything happening this morning, those are out the window.
Right.
So
no, I'd met Carson years back, and I even told him this at the track. I hope you don't mind me sharing, Carson. Seeing you now as compared to a few years ago, you definitely look healthier. You look driven. You look focused. You're acting. I never knew you before, but I'm assuming this is the old Carson, and it's pretty cool to see, man. Just from the looking out inward, just your physical appearance and the way you carry yourself is way different. So, congratulations on that, man. That's huge.
I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, and in the time I never realized it, and I'm sure you guys can relate too. I didn't realize, how bad things had gotten at some points throughout my addiction and alcoholism and stuff. And and on the physical side of it, and
right.
Me, I'm looking in the mirror thinking oh yeah, I look fine. But, I've had other crew guys and kind of show me pictures, and I'm just super skinny and cheekbones. And I wasn't filled out, and I obviously wasn't eating right. And,
right.
I was I had no idea, and I look back, I'm it was pretty bad, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Dang, I thought I looked great, I thought I looked awesome, and I definitely didn't. And but I really do appreciate that, and definitely at a lot better place in my life now. And life's awesome, and I'm thankful that I could share those experiences with you guys, and we can laugh about it and look back on it in a positive way now. You know what I mean? Right. So that's what makes it all worth it.
So, I want to give you a whole lot of credit, because your sobriety date was 3 years ago, right?
Yep.
And you're already talking. I'll be at 17. If I make it to April 26th this year, it'll be 17 years alcohol free.
When you make it? When?
Okay, when I make it, I still struggle with the embarrassment of letting a bottle beat me, right? I still struggle with the embarrassment of how I acted during those alcohol days, right? How do you deal with it, right? What have you done? What have you learned in your 3 years of sobriety to accept that, right? To accept that that's who you were, that's not who you are, and to move forward. Right. I know faith is a big part in your family, and I love to see that. I won't get into that. That's your own personal business. However you want to discuss that, but for me, it was, I can look back and see certain chapters in my life and know when those page chapters started and stopped, right? And right when I turned a page, that embarrassment one, it's still kind of like half turned. I haven't really flipped the page on that whole embarrassment of being an alcoholic drunk, you know. What do you do to keep yourself positive when you get into those moments and start feeling that way? Uh-oh. Carson can't hear. He lost me.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Boy, that was a great intro. All right. So
okay. All right. You guys, okay. Sorry.
This is the way things work these days.
Okay. All right. Cool. You guys still got me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we lost Albert. So, hey, cool.
I'm still here. This is fantastic.
Yeah. I love this stuff because if if you're not getting screwed over while you're trying to do something live, you're just not doing it right.
Oh yeah.
Right?
No, this is like the rite of passage, you know?
Right. Somebody will come on and be like, all right, listen, bro, I love your show and your content, but you really need somebody to help you with that. So we're going to give you this guy and they're going to come along and show you how to do that. That would be fantastic. But let's talk about that. The embarrassment side of the house, the letting things go, the having faith. You know, what is it for you that has allowed you to turn the page and get back into your own confident self without the drugs and the alcohol?
Yeah, so obviously in like the early stages of when I started getting sober, and you know, that first, honestly I'd say first couple months, you know, I was in a really bad place, you know, mentally, just because, you know, I felt like the racing stuff was gonna slip away for good. And you know, I wasn't very confident in myself, and kind of like dealing with the emotions of like, oh, I wonder, like, you know, because, you know, the drinking and whatnot have been such a big part of my life for so long that part of my identity was in that stuff, right? And you know, whenever that went away and I finally decided to get sober, you know, I was filled with, you know, a truckload of different emotions and insecurities and a lot of things that I had to deal with. But over time, you know, and, you know, working with a therapist and, you know, completed an outpatient program and stuff. And I kind of started to realize that, you know, the things are, what goes on, you know, when I'm drinking, aren't good, aren't healthy, aren't positive. But I learned that those scenarios and all those things kind of make me who I am. And it's not, and like in a positive way, right? Like, you know, I've met some of the best people in recovery, in programs, in and out of rehabs, the rooms. You know, I've met some of the most wholehearted, genuine, most caring, loving people I've ever met in my entire life is in that circle of people. And you know, I learned to take pride in that, you know, hey, you know, I've had a lot of screw ups, had a lot of bad things happen, and you know, that was a part of growing up. But it's who it's not I'm not it's not who I am, but it's part of me, right? And I've learned to not be
Right.
embarrassed of that. And honestly, you know, like I just have a few screws different than you know, maybe majority of the world. But you know, it's something that I've learned not to be ashamed of, right? Because I've learned about life, I've learned about relationships, experiences, other people. And you know, I've kind of, you know, I'm sure you guys can relate, we kind of put ourselves through the ringer on a crash course of how to, you know, experience a lot of things really quickly and you know, to really extensive points. But you know, it's something that I've become proud of, and it's like, hey, it's part of me, you know what I mean? It's not who I am, like you guys have mentioned, but you know, that is part of the chemical makeup of who Carson is, right? And
Right.
I'm fortunate enough to have resources and have friends and family like you guys that I can talk about those things with, and we can share stories and laugh about it. And people would probably think we're crazy because, you know, some of the stuff we talk about, they'd be like, those guys are laughing about that. And, you know,
Yeah.
we're just, you know, they'd be like,
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
there's something
Yes,
wrong
we
with
are.
these guys, you know. But you know, it's our experiences, and that's one of the great things about it is, you know, our experiences that we can share with each other, and that bond and relationship is something other people can't relate to. And you know, that's one thing that we get to experience that other people don't, right? You
Right.
know,
Right.
so it's created a lot of thick skin. And it's, you know, being 25, also being is, you know, as young as I am, and experiencing that, you know, it was hard to understand and see that, you know, there's life and fun to be had at my age without drinking and doing those things. um
Yeah. Yeah.
and I had to do a lot of work on myself internally, because I'm just as human as everybody else, right? You know, I have insecurities about my looks. I have insecurities about social situations. I get anxiety, you know, in certain situations that other people may, and also a lot of people also do. So there was a lot of things I had to do internally to get to a point where I was okay with myself. And that was the biggest thing. Once I became okay with myself, and I was completely okay with who Carson was without anything in him, you know,
Yeah.
that was like the turning point. And I've, you know, been able to experience and have a lot of fun with my family, and all my relationships, friendships, you know, everything has just gotten so much better over the years. And you know, a lot of people wouldn't understand it, but I think you guys, I know you guys can. It's like, you know, a lot of the stuff we put ourselves through, some was stupid, some was just because we had lost control of things, and you know, we didn't have many other options, because when we're in addiction, we don't really have many other options other than to keep doing what we were doing, right? I wouldn't change any of it, you know. And I think a lot of people always joke about like the, oh, like if I had a button to go back, and you know, that's a cool thing to flirt with. But you know, I'm thankful for everything that's happened in my life, good and bad, because it's gotten me to the point that I'm at now. And this is the best point in my life that I've ever been at. And I don't think I would be at this point without those things happening.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean?
I
So,
think you're right. That's a good
yeah.
philosophy, man.
And
That's
sorry, I know that
awesome
was
to
a
hear
lot
it.
of, I know that was a lot of
No, bring
rambling
it. No, bring
and
it.
you know,
Have
but
you
I,
not seen the show? That's all we do is ramble.
No, that's cool to hear you put it that way, Carson. I mean, at 25, I wish I'd have
Yeah.
been where you're at, to be honest. Um, yeah, so
I
congratulations on that.
I appreciate
You
that.
know,
I would
yeah.
say I agree with you on the I would the wishing I had a button to go back and change it all. Only because I would like to see if I could see a perspective of that type of that living. Like, what was I really focused on that was making me drink, right?
Right.
And in this course of self awareness and everything that I've had going on and my sobriety journey, I'm finding out that in those stages of my life, the drinking specifically, it was because I had a goal in the military, right? I'm just going to say it. I was a war fighter. I did not like to be stateside. I wanted to be TDY. I wanted to have a mission. I wanted to go and do it. And sitting here the other day, I realized I didn't drink when we went overseas. Like I'd try to drink with the guys, and then it was like, I can't perform, so I'd quit. I wouldn't drink while I was over there. And these last few times, the first few times, I was drunk as a skunk. But you know, realizing what I was doing and what I was, instead of beating myself up over those periods of my life, realizing where my brain was at the time, what my focus was, what I was doing, right, and where I am now. It is a stark contrast. There is no doubt, right, that the thinking is different. I went to the rooms for 7 or 8 years consistently, backed away due to whatever reasons. Principles before personalities wasn't always my strong suit. That's
Amen.
just, you know.
Really?
So yeah,
I
Would have
think
yeah.
we
never
got something in
guessed.
common.
Well,
Would have never guessed.
I think it's who you are, right? Like, I mean, we have. You're a high performer. You expect a lot out of yourself, and when you don't get it, you're upset and you don't know what to do, right? I think I've done everything that I can to be good. Why am I not good enough? So I don't know what else to do, right? It's a thinking
Absolutely.
problem. It's not a drinking problem or a using problem. It's a thinking problem up in my own head, a misunderstanding of my own reality. I guess is what I like to say. And
Right.
yeah, hey Josh, I got a little something for you after we're recording.
Carson, just, the conversations again, I'm going to go back to, years ago when I met you the first time and to now, the confidence too is way higher. You're looking at
Yeah.
people when you talk. Before you were kind of like, you're taller, so you'd kind of either look over people or kind of just, not really focus on the conversation. So
Yeah.
again, that's all part of the healing. I know I've done it. I know John does it. I know we've done it. So your strength is your story. It really is. And the more you tell it, the stronger you become with that. And I think you are in a great position to be able to help not only yourself, but others around you too, man. So again, congratulations for recognizing, getting the help, doing what you need to do. And I couldn't be happier for you, man. It's just cool to see when you see somebody that's on the way out and they're back in. So
Yeah.
congratulations, man. That's
Yeah.
that's huge. That's huge.
No, I really appreciate that. And kind of to piggyback off what you said, with, the confidence in person and having those conversations with people and stuff, it's like I wasn't okay even back then, it's like the drinking and stuff was the solution I thought was gonna fix. Excuse me. Well, the solution I had back then was drinking, and that's what I thought was going to fix the insecurities in myself, the lack of confidence, the all those things. And you know what I had mentioned earlier about once I finally became okay, and I got behind being okay with Carson, and I was okay with Carson. It's like it was a game changer. You know what I mean? And like it sounds so simple, but for guys like us, it is a long, bumpy journey of just like becoming okay with ourselves. At least in my experience, you know what I mean?
I
And
I think you're there. You're right there, dude. Like you've got it. You're just trying to figure out
yeah,
the right
no,
word, right?
hundred
And how to
percent,
get through the shit. That's it. You're
yeah,
just
hundred
trying.
percent. And like it's you know I had to learn to accept, that like I'm not perfect, and frankly, none of us are, right? And I've learned to appreciate and like love, like, like I am different, and yes, I look like a very different race car driver from 99.9% of the garage. You know what I mean? And back in the day, I used to be worried about my tattoos, and I think probably when we met, I still probably had that neck tattoo. And I just
Yep.
I had different things running through my mind all the time, and I was always beating myself up, and that would just take away from the racing stuff. And I'm glad that I've gotten to that point, and I'm really appreciative that I've had guys like you guys that were there back then, and to be able to see the change and to hear that from you guys means a lot, because I really respect you guys. And
Yeah,
um
appreciate it.
it makes me more
Thank you.
proud of it, because I the amount of work you guys have done with your lives and what you guys have done in your lives since your guys' journey is awesome, and that makes me feel even better about it. So I really
I don't know
appreciate
if
you
I'd call
mentioning
it
that.
awesome. It kind of fucking sucked,
Well,
actually, but I'm glad I am where I am.
yeah, for
Well,
sure.
you know what I mean. You know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, I do. I do know what you mean. You said a couple things in there I'd like to hit back on if you don't mind. You said
Absolutely.
it was I would drink or use because of my lack of confidence. I I would challenge that opinion because that's what I thought until recently when I said I don't think it was ever a lack of confidence. It was an overabundant amount of confidence, and I didn't achieve what I thought I should, so I hated myself for it.
Very,
That's what I think.
very, very. So I'm glad you said that, because one thing I did struggle with very heavily was, and this was not put on by my parents at all, not a single percent. My parents have always been the most supportive, loving, caring. Like, no matter how many times I messed up in my life, my mom and my dad were instantly there. I never had to fight for my parents' help. I never had to beg and plead for them to support or be there for me. My mom and dad were always there, and they were awesome. But one thing that I did, self-inflicted, was, and I think a lot of us have scenarios like this, just different sports, right? Or different
Right.
genres of it, is I put a lot of weight on my shoulders with how hard my dad worked and how much he built with the support of his family, his friends, and people in racing, and what he turned a little speck of dust into over the years and what it's been now. I put a lot of weight on my shoulders being my dad's son. And I knew that during my alcoholism and my mistakes and stuff, I was like, dude, I am pissing away all these opportunities that I know other people in scenarios would kill for. And I think subconsciously, like you said, I knew that I wasn't running at the speed I should be, right? Or,
Right.
making decisions that I should be, or, hey, Carson, you've been, in Xfinity for a couple years and you've made mistakes and you're still not full time yet because of the, so subconsciously I know that and I'm thinking that and I'm like, Carson, you suck. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you like you're a loser and you're blowing all this away for what? So I definitely did struggle with that, and the way that I explained it is how I relate to what you said, John. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very valid point, and I think that was a huge part of it. Also, is the overconfidence and knowing that I'm not doing or I'm not achieving what I know I'm capable of or what I'm supposed to be doing, and not on some egotistical stuff, but
Right.
Correct.
I was aware that, hey, dude, if you wouldn't have made this mistake, like I would probably be in my second or third year of full time Xfinity by now. You know what I mean? And that's just
Mm-hmm.
with how my dad helped me line things up and where things were going. Like that was the course that was headed, and you know now it's going to be even more sweet. It's going to be even more sweet when I'm back full time, right? So,
It will be
It
more
will.
I'm
sweet
It
because
will
excited.
be.
I think it'll mean more, right? I think it'll
Absolutely.
mean more to you personally. I think it'll mean more to dad, right? As a
Absolutely.
father, and as an alcoholic and an addict and a suicide survivor and combat veteran and whatever title you want to put on me or Albert or you or whoever, I think we are here to pass on our knowledge to the next generation, right? So let me screw this up so you don't have to. And I think that's
Yeah.
that's a burden. That's a backpack of weight, right?
Yeah.
To admit to someone that I made a mistake. It was a big one. It took this amount of time from me, but now I'm back, right? Joey Diaz, I love Joey Diaz's line, the comedian.
Yeah.
He is so passionate about being so effed up, and he makes
Oh,
it
he
so
loves
funny.
it. He
He
loves it.
loves it.
He
Look at
loves it.
the shit I did.
Yeah.
And listening to that, I'm like, I didn't do anything compared to that. Like, what am I upset about? Why am I being so hard on myself? Right? Why do I need to do that? And you're there and I'm there. And you mentioned mom and dad. I will share this with you. My dad picked me up from my last drunk because I didn't have any friends. And my mother took me to my first AA meeting the next day.
Heck yeah.
So I get it, bro.
Yeah.
I get it. You put all this pressure on yourself that you want. Look at what they gave me. Look at what I'm doing with it. And I'm embarrassed that I let them down. When the reality of it is you couldn't have been more. They could not have been more proud of you to come to them and say, I can't do it like this anymore. I need help.
Yep.
Okay. Are you going to listen? Yep. I'm going to listen this time. I get it. Right. I got it. And to understand that, you're at 25, my daughter's at 30, and, she's got her own story on things. But my part of her story is I kicked her out 5 or 6 times. Like, look, I gotta stick up for what's left in this house. Right. There's other people in this house. And for her to call me and say, I can't live like this anymore. That was the beginning of an incredible run for her. Right. And she's still on that run. Right. She's still on that run and she's still learning every day. And I'm still learning every day. And it's incredible. And I can't thank you for coming on enough and sharing a little bit about that. When are we going to see you next? I think I have an idea. In fact, I know when I'm going to see you next. But tell everybody out there when we're going to see you next on the track.
So my next race is Martinsville. I'll be at Martinsville, and then I gotta look at the schedule. We're working with Mike on doing some more races. But next time I'm on track is at Martinsville, and then I gotta look at the schedule again, but supposed to have a lot of races with Mike this year, and trying to just keep knocking sponsorship stuff together and putting together more races. So we're gonna try to be at every single race we can be at. So hopefully you guys will see, and the fans and everybody involved will see a lot of us. So
well, I'll tell you this: if there are any fans out there that you run into Carson in the pits, and you take 2 seconds to say hello, and that you're watching him and you're proud of him, I guarantee you'll take that 30 seconds or 1 minute to give that person all of your attention.
Absolutely. If you guys are watching, you're at the track, please. The face tats does not mean I'm scary. I love to talk to you guys. I do not bite, and I got all the time in the world to talk to anybody that's involved or in here.
Yeah.
And I got more than enough time to share some stories or just talk. So
yeah. Well, Carson, I want you to know from our conversations at the track in Atlanta, I'm really proud of you, man. You've done it. You've done it.
I appreciate that, man.
You
Thank
know
you.
you
That
got
means a lot.
you got 2 guys here that'll kick you in the backside if you need it too.
Damn right. And hey, just because I'm sober today doesn't mean that I'm still not a hard-headed, POS sometimes. So
hey, we were just talking about dry drunks. I was just
Yeah.
talking about a dry drunk with a guy last week, and he's like,
Yeah.
does this happen ever happen to you? And I'm like, every day, bro.
Yeah.
The difference is, what are you going to do with it? Do you allow yourself to sit there in that self-pity, that self-sabotage? Albert and I talk about that
A lot.
sit and self-sabotage ourselves, and the thinking that we have is so incorrect that you got to get yourself out of it. So I'm all for you, man. I'm there for you. I understand what's going through your head. I have been that 25-year-old high performer who had to put it down, who couldn't put it down. And you know what, man, I was 36 years old when I put down, 36 years old when I finally put down alcohol, and it was Tiffany's 13th birthday party. And that was my last drunk. That's a hard one for me to swallow, right? That I embarrassed myself in front of so many people and so many kids. To let that one go, that's a hard one for me, but I'm getting there. And reminding yourself that the shit that you have going on in your head is more than likely 99% not true.
I said we're all a little crazy.
You did.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. But listen, I'm going to see you. We are going to see you. I think Albert decided he's coming. He hasn't responded back to my invite yet, but we're going to be at Martinsville, kind of a surprise for us. Our partner, Ryan Roulette Racing, in his debut in the Craftsman Truck Series, will be at Martinsville.
Heck yeah.
He got us on the truck, man. He's got us on the tailgate. Save 22 veterans will be on Ryan Roulette's number 67 truck at Martinsville, March 26th, Friday night under the lights at Martinsville.
And then there might be a surprise on the 74 car too. Just saying.
Yeah, there might be a surprise 74 car too with that guy driving right there.
Yeah.
Down at Martinsville. We'll see how that goes. But
Yes,
Carson, thank you for taking the time. I do want to ask real quick.
There is no real quick with you,
There is
John.
no real quick with me. I'm sorry. What do you do daily now? Right? Because I found out when I quit drinking, I had to fill that time in that space with something. Right? So what was your transition from, I used to drink and drug at this time, now I can't do that. What do I do now? Right? What do you do now to occupy your time? Because I know a lot of guys think about that, right? I'm scared to put it down because I don't know what else to do. I'm happy in my misery.
Yes,
right?
Scared of that idle time.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was it for you? What finally worked out for you?
Yeah, so when I first was getting sober, and I was in the outpatient program that I was in, honestly, I went to the classes every day at 9, went to my mandatory meeting, And I honestly, once I completed all those things and I did what I was responsible for those days, I started playing a lot of video games in the early stages of it, right? Like I traded one addiction for another. And and
Absolutely.
I spent a lot of time playing video games, but I didn't feel as bad about it because I was living in a sober living, and I was doing all I was responsible for at that time was staying sober, going to my meetings, being involved, and just doing what I needed to do, right? So in the evenings when I completed all the classes and went to the meetings and whatnot, I just spent the rest of the evenings playing video games, sometimes till 10 o'clock at night, sometimes till 3 or 4 in the morning is what I did in the beginning, right? And then that slowly transitioned now to today. I wake up, I hop on the computer, I'm checking on stuff, responding to emails, working on sponsorship stuff. I have a Hotworks membership, so I go to Hotworks and work out in the sauna, and then spend time with family, friends, and still play a little bit of video games, but not as much as I used to. And just really the days for me now have gotten so simplified, but it's so perfect. You know what I mean? Like
Good.
it is the most simple, relaxing days, and it is nothing crazy, and I love it. You know what I mean? There's no for my birthday, I just hung out at the house, played some video games, went to go eat dinner, went home, and it was like the most normal, basic day, and it was awesome. You know what I mean? So it's just simple stuff like that. But in the early stages, a lot of video games to take up time and outpatient program and whatnot. But today it's simple stuff, staying in shape, working on racing, trying to work and find sponsorship stuff, and a little bit of fun time with some video games.
Good for you, man.
That's
awesome.
That's great to hear. Do you feel overwhelmed when it comes to race day then, or have you mentally prepared yourself all week? You know that it's coming. Do you constantly think of the variables and the negatives, or are you working your brain to be more of a in the moment positive type person?
I think I try to do as much work as I can to be in the moment. And I mentally I'm preparing every day to some degree. Like I was talking with my dad yesterday, it's like I want to make sure I get the best finish I possibly can when we go to Martinsville, and executing qualifying how I did last year when I was there, and just thinking about everything that I can do in my power to try to execute to set myself up for the most success. And obviously racing's still racing.
Stuff's
gonna happen. I'm gonna make mistakes. Pit crew could potentially make mistakes. Something could break on the car. All those things that are out of my control, which is a huge part of alcoholism addiction, right? Is letting go of trying to control situations or things, right? I'm just focused on what I can do and what I can work on to do my best at when I'm at the track to execute and have it, be as successful as possible. But I'm totally cool with the things that are out of my control, and things that are involved with racing that are going to happen, and that's just part of it. And just got to keep my chin high and keep moving forward. So
I do a lot of that resonates. Realistic expectations, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Not
obviously, would I love to show up to Martinsville and go win the race?
Absolutely.
Hell yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, we would.
Yeah, but is that the likelihood of what would happen? Probably not, but who knows? It's possible, but I'm just trying to set, like you said, real expectations and understanding my situation and where I'm at, and just trying to give the best that I can, and small victories are a huge part of the game right now, right?
They are.
And just building up those small trophies, and eventually you can trade those out for a big one, right? So that's the plan.
I don't ever want to get rid of those little trophies, man. I just gonna keep adding to them. Right. Yep. Celebrate that little stuff. Right. Absolutely. I'm really, really proud of you, Carson. We started off a little rough this morning, both of us, with a couple things. You bounced back famously. I'm very proud of you for that. You could have taken it a totally different direction, as could Albert and I, with our struggles this morning with the stuff. But you know what? You stick with it. It's all going to work out in whatever way it's going to work out. And we only can control what we can control. So again, thank you for being here. I know where you're at. I'm not going to tell people where you're at right now, but thank you for jumping on for us. Thank you for doing this. I will say that I texted him last night at 8 or 9 o'clock, and I was like, "Hey, can you jump on tomorrow?" He's like, "Absolutely." So awesome for him. Thank you very much. Josh says he's in his car. Yes, he's in his car, but it's not his car. It's not his car. So, hey man, we're gonna let you go. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Martinsville, and please, our best to mom and dad there, and we will see you soon, buddy.
And I appreciate you guys so much. Love you guys, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here. Like I said, I'm glad I finally overcame some scheduling issues on my end, but I really appreciate you guys, and this definitely won't be the last one that we do. And I really appreciate you guys, and really thankful for all of our conversations that we had, not only on here, but behind the scenes and at the track. And you guys have been a huge part of that feeling of how grounded I've been at the races, and knowing I got you guys in my corner, and if like I'm worried about something, I know I could holler at you guys, and you guys be like, "Let's talk right now." So I appreciate you guys, and we'll do this again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carson. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. See you guys.
See ya.
Peace. Hey, that worked out good, huh?
Yeah.
I'm happy for it. All right. That was good. You know what? At 25 years old, he's doing the right things. He's saying the right stuff. He's keeping himself grounded. And that's all you can ask for. I don't care if you're 25 or 75, right? If you're going through some shit, figure out what you're going through that you can control.
And let's look at the area, like the high overview view of all this too, right? Look at what look at what Mike Harmon is doing for like these younger drivers that are struggling too, right? And Carson's not the first one Mike's helped and given an opportunity, right?
No.
So understanding opportunities and where that may help that driver, right? And you look at the younger kids that are putting in all the work in the shop, all the work around the car, all the work how many former drivers from Mike, I shouldn't say former, but are still involved with Mike when we were at the track, right? Look at all the drivers that were around the car. Look at the drivers spotting, wrenching, working, pushing the car. It truly is a special environment, as Carson said, to be able to just and I wish, man, I wish there was a way for people to get it and see it. It's just a different environment when you're at the track with the team. It is.
It is.
And I think that's important for people to know. And it's a perfect fit for Carson also because a little bit of work, a little bit of fun, a little bit of serious, a little bit of fun, a little bit of driving, a little bit of fun, like back and forth, right?
Get on save22.vet, and what you're going to see when it first pops up, I want to tell you all this. Let's see if we can bring it up real quick if I know how to do this. We have no, we're not going to do that right now. I changed my mind. We're going to talk about what's coming up because we got about 15 minutes before our next guest, Brandon Henry, the pit Marine. That man, let me tell you something. I met that man 8 years ago, 7 years ago. How long has it been since we did Mid-Ohio when you sent me out there with the Lions? It's been a few years. It's
7, 8 years at least.
Yeah. Where he's gone or what he's accomplished, in my opinion, is amazing for any human being, right? To go through what he's gone through and to stand where he stood and to have the following that he has now. I'm really proud of him because it's not easy. It really isn't. It's a mentally taxing BS. And, I've stepped away from a lot of stuff that was just mentally nasty for me.
Right.
And I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about making, clip videos for TikTok or shorts for YouTube or how to push this out or how to push that out because it's not for me. Right. I don't care. I want to talk about things. I want to work them out in my head. And I want to let people know that, hey man, I was here and now I'm here.
Right.
And that's what I'm going to focus on. So I can't wait to talk to Brandon. He's going to be awesome to have. Yes, Karen, we do have all your boys on today. It is me, Albert, Carson, Brandon. Hey, let's talk about Mike Harmon, though, at Phoenix. So DK, Dawson Cram, I think they blew a brake line and went straight into the wall is what happened, or broke a rotor. Something really hurt themselves at Phoenix. And if you go back and look now, DK, I'll just call him Dawson, had a lot of help. Mike Harmon had a lot of help putting that car back
Yep.
on the track
Yep.
for Las Vegas. And we would be remiss if we didn't say thank you to all those partners, right?
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson Racing, which is 3 cars in the Xfinity series, I think, 2 or
I'm
3.
not sure, man.
I'm not 100%.
I know he had a massive amount of help from a lot.
He had a lot
of
of help. He had a lot
Yeah.
of help, and
Yeah.
man, it was really great to see. And that's a testament to who Mike is. That's a testament to who Dawson is. That's a testament to who that team has been. And when you see that, and you back away a little bit, and you go, you know what? I'm proud to be affiliated with those guys.
Right.
I really am.
Look in Atlanta when we were, sitting in the pit stall, kind of before the race there for a minute, and look at all the old school drivers that walked by and came over and talked to Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, there was probably 15 drivers, old school drivers, that walked by Mike and walked over and made sure to shake his hand or tap on the back or "What's up, boss man?" How many of those guys did you see? So that tells you the amount of respect that Mike has around the track and the team has around the track. I mean, he's old school. He shows up like he's racing on a Saturday night. He does.
He does.
How he shows up.
Does.
It's not a slam. It's not a derogatory comment. It's just how he shows up, right?
I'm a Saturday night racer, and I'm here to race.
I got my hauler on the truck, and here we go. We're gonna let her rip.
Let's do it. And you know what? I love it. I love it. And I love it. I love showing up at those small tracks, which I haven't done yet with Mike, but I can remember, man, Bakersfield, the Las Vegas Bull Ring, Oklahoma Fairgrounds, showing up at those little here, Midvale, Canton Motor Speedway as a kid. Midvale, Barberton Speedway, right? Barberton, Barberton Speedway, and then there's one out by Mansfield. I only did once at Mansfield. It was not a good. That was not a good time for me. That was in a modified. I put a transmission in the car the night before. The car owner and driver told me to do something that I didn't agree with, so I did it anyway, and we broke like a lap and a half into practice, and it was bad. So I don't have good memories at Mansfield, but you know what? Showing up at that local track, that small time. This is my buddies. We're gonna run. Goat Locker's doing that with their late model now, I guess. They've got a late model team that they're putting together and trying to get some stuff out there. Patrick Drabeck and Goat Locker, which, by the way, I can't wait to have him on in about another. When's the 500? May, right?
May.
Second weekend of May.
I'm sure.
I can't wait to have him.
Look at my calendar, man. It's filled out already,
dude. That's just March, right? That's just March.
I know.
And then we got April and May, and we got all this stuff coming along. So
I was talking to Love Kitten last night, and I'm like, we were looking at the calendar, kind of, she does all our bookings for us on the other end of it to help us out, and she's looking. She's like, man, you're gonna be gone quite a bit, and I'm like, yeah, every other weekend it looks like from now till pretty much September. So it's we're gonna be busy. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. We got the hike in there too. I mean, we got a bunch of things coming our way, man.
We do. You're down in the Calabash, North Carolina, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area, right?
Yes,
you travel
sir.
about an hour and a half, 2 hours when you go do your things. Maximum.
Yeah, usually. Yeah.
You just had a car show.
We did.
First weekend in March.
First weekend in March. Yep. We had they kicked off car season. Dale Long, fantastic human being. That's their story to tell, but there's a connection, and he's done it every year. This year, he chose Save 22 as to be their charity. And they raised almost $5,000 between 9 a.m. and 1:30 ish.
Yeah, so 5 hours, $5,000, bro.
Yep. And these are
great people.
The car community down here is something special, man. It really is. They come together, they support one another. Of course, they give each other crap like we do in the military, bring a different branch, and then you got your Mopars, you got your Fords, you got your Chevys, you got your Rat Rods, you got your motorcycles. But all of these people come together, man, when they have these car shows, and it truly is about helping the community, right? And that's all you want is those type of individuals in your life, man, that want to lift you up, not step on you to get where they need to be. So those are the type of people I'm trying to surround myself with. My circle's a lot smaller than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is, man. We're busy. We are busy. So there's not a
Hey,
lot of
be on the
time.
lookout. Be on the lookout. We're doing some revamping behind the scenes at Save
Yep.
22 as well, where we're going to try to have a event calendar on the website for us, so
Yep.
that you can see where each of us are going to be, right?
Yep.
Because there's so much stuff happening
Yep.
lately that we're trying to put that
Yep.
together to where
Yep.
it doesn't have to come from a post. It'll come from a calendar.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of things happening, and
Yep.
the people behind the scenes are really working hard on that
They
stuff
are.
for us.
They
And
are. Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
mention one thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Every single one of us at Save 22 is a volunteer,
Correct.
right?
No payment. Zero.
No payments. And Albert and I are the only two retirees. All
Correct.
right. So as of this moment, everyone that's doing stuff behind the scenes for Save 22, they all have a full-time job. They're all,
Yeah.
I think they're all married with kids. They're all married with kids too. I think
yes.
They might be older kids, but everyone has kids, right? They're still in that stage of their life.
Right.
And man, they're still doing stuff for us. And,
yeah,
we couldn't do what we do without them in the background. So
absolutely
want to say a huge thank you to them in the background. Josh and Matt, and I'll argue that they're not really in the background. They just don't like to be on camera. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Josh
is like the
Matt,
Wizard of Oz. He's like
Josh. That's what I said earlier, man.
He pulls the curtain open, hands you something, shuts.
I'm still here.
Just whoop, I'm gone.
Go right back. Yep, that's right here. There you go.
Yep. 2 seconds. You ask, and that's what's nice too. We understand that people work, right? So when we ask things, we're not expecting like that quick response. But man, I asked Josh for something a little bit earlier, just for me, so I had it. I want to make sure that we got all our motorsports vendors for the hike. So, John, it couldn't have been 3 seconds, maybe 5. Click, 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 boom, here it is.
Right.
And I'm like,
right.
Cool, thanks. Like, that was cool.
I knew that
but
was
yeah,
there.
Man. And there's people that's hauled the merch wagon everywhere. There's people that show up hike day. There's people that show up for inventory days. There's people. The list goes. I mean, it's massive.
It does.
It's massive.
It does. Chuck and John down in Calabash or Myrtle Beach area.
Yeah.
Thank you
Chuck,
guys.
John,
you guys
John. Yeah.
John.
John and John. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rocco with the fishing. I mean, we got Mr. Gary with PGA Hope. Scott with the Hutton House. The list just it's endless with the amount of. And it's kind of humbling too, man, when you see over 10 years the amount of resources that we have.
That we really have, right?
That we really do have. And the partners, and I use that word instead of sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Sponsors to me is just a monetary exchange, and that's it. Partners are people like Mike Harmon, Lex June, Goat Locker, Ryan Roulette. These in the motorsports world, these are individuals that truly get it, they care, and they will do what they can do to help us get exposure, right?
Right.
And with that, there is a cost. So people need to know that there is a cost. And there's cost for the tickets, there's cost for food, there's cost for all these things to get these vets to the track. So that's why these donations, these birthday drives, these other things are so important. So we can raise these funds to keep getting these vets, first responders, and their families to the track, man. That's the big push. It really is.
And it's not only the motorsports world. It's just that's the world where Albert and I live, right? That's where he and I are comfortable. So let's transition over to someone who has benefited tremendously from the Save 22 Motorsports Outreach Program and Mike Harmon and Karen. We're going to bring on the man, the myth, the legend, the TikTok icon, Brandon Henry, the Pit Marine.
Hey, there he is.
And there he is. How's that for an introduction, buddy?
That was a little unnecessary.
It was absolutely necessary.
If you say so.
It is. And I just want to say, man, we're stoked to have you on. We really are, because you and I and Albert and Save 22 and Mike Harmon have been around the same circles for 8, 9, 10 years now. And it's amazing the racing that you have done, the growth that you have had personally, the impact that you have had on other individuals. I remember talking to you years ago, and both of us being in tears because we couldn't get through our own shit. And we were just trying and trying and trying, and we're so mad and frustrated with things that are happening, when the reality of the situation was we were one of 300 doing what we were doing, and we couldn't see that. And I'm very proud of you now, brother. I really am. Like, I was proud of you then, but I'm really proud of you now to see you at, where did we see you at? Atlanta. We saw you at Atlanta, and
Ape hanging the tires.
Ape hanging the tires. We're getting feedback from you, Brandon. You have a Bluetooth hooked up or something?
I don't. That's it's a little odd. Give me a second.
It was your hearing.
You got a lot of guests sitting in the car today.
Yeah. Well, that's how it works out sometimes. It's gone now. I don't know what happened now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Cool.
It's gone? Okay. That was weird.
Yeah. So, Brandon, you started off years ago in the Marine Corps, transitioned away from that, had some struggles. We met at not Mid-Ohio, Virginia International Raceway, with the FR Americas F4 series. We put some cars together that were wrecked a lot that day. Yeah. I think one car came through unscathed, and that was because she was just testing out the car and didn't ever drive too hard. She stayed in the back and didn't hurt anything, which thank you to her. Because the other guys sure did tear up some stuff that day.
That's just race car drivers. They'll always race cars.
So tell me, what are you doing now, my friend? What's going on now? You've had a very interesting career in the motorsports world. It hasn't exactly been a meteoric rise,
Not really,
to say the least.
It hasn't been smooth either.
No, it's not. But you're still kicking it, right? You're still doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I will until I'm too old to do it. Until my body doesn't let me anymore, and that mentality has kind of played a big role lately. You especially when you're in the military, you have this complex where so I got deployed to Afghanistan in 2014. You get this mentality while you're there, and I'm gonna dive right into the hard stuff. But you get there, and if you're not okay with not coming back, then you can't do your job efficiently. And that's kind of the mentality that was drilled into our heads. The part of the brainwashing, if you will. And everything. It feels like everything after that is extra. And that's fine and dandy for a little while until you have to go through the actual process of becoming a normal, respectable, part of society again. And then the struggles come, right? Sometimes it takes years for those to kick in.
Hey,
so
yep.
It's been, I don't know. So I have a lot going on, but at the same time, it seems like it's not enough.
Oh yeah. That's
between like getting bills paid and all that, between like having that self-fulfillment and all that, that's, I don't know, maybe that's a struggle that I'm gonna have the rest of my life. I just got to deal with it, but there's been a lot going on. I mean, I've as you know, I've been full-time in NASCAR for I think 6 years now.
Wow.
And I know last time we spoke, it was 4.5 years ago. I was kind of just getting my feet wet and working with Mike Harmon, and then the TikTok took off because of COVID and all of that, and people just really love to see guys suck at pit stops. So that's where a majority. That's where a majority of the following comes from. And it's funny because the most I've had viewership wise is in the 30 to 40 millions. I got a video right now that's at I think 42 million views or something like that on TikTok, and it's been shared by Bleacher Report and Barstool and all that. And only
is that the one where you went ass over tea kettle?
No, that one too though. They keep using my stuff and they haven't tagged me yet. But so and people love to see you get hurt, and they love to see you have a terrible pit stop, because if there's one thing that people do on social media, it's talk. So that's the reason why all that stuff explodes. It's not because I'm some sort of extraordinaire. I've never once
That's
claimed
right.
to be good. I've never once claimed to be good at this shit. So, and I never will. So that's yeah, it is a roller coaster, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we talked about that with Carson earlier, and you were at Daytona. You were there for the Xfinity race. You were there for the ARCA. I think you pitted the ARCA race too. And then you went down to Atlanta. That's where we ran into you at Atlanta. Only to hear from you last week that you're searching for a race to go to.
Yep.
So you know what? Tell me about that, man. That's it's just the nature of the beast, isn't it? It's the game. It's the game at hand.
It is. It's the game, and the game is fickle, man, and that's how fast it changes. You go from, say, we'll touch very lightly on the fact that I spent 4 years at an organization that I probably shouldn't have sunk all of my effort into. I had put a lot of faith and a lot of confidence in that program, and it just ended up biting me every time, over and over. And a lot of that also is my fault. I have a problem with certain authoritarian figures sometimes, and trying to tell me what I can. Yeah, trying to tell me what I can and can't do all
a
the
Marine?
time.
Stop
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You must be one of only 2 or 3 in the world that has that problem.
Rare, right? So that attitude bit me a couple times, and I don't I don't like people micromanaging how I do and spend my time. I like to think I'm very professional when it comes to my social media life, and that always doing the social media stuff always kind of rubbed the organization the wrong way, and that's fine. I've always said that that social media stuff, yeah, it's cheesy. It's a lot of guys in the industry don't like it, and that's fine. It's not for them.
Right.
When that stuff took off, I wanted to use it as a platform to reach out to other veterans, and it's gotten. I've kind of gotten away from that, and I hate that just because of the day to day and the grind and everything. I have a little one now. Got to help the missus take care of him and stuff, so it got to be a lot, and I didn't have a lot of time to put back into it. But that stuff is for trying to help get veterans into the sport and get eyeballs on the sport and help out, or kind of give something back to that little kid that I used to be, that's watching and scrolling, and probably shouldn't be scrolling, but they are, let's be honest. And, when they come across my videos and it makes them happy, that's why I do it. It used to pay. And that was another thing that was a nice plus, is that it used to pay a lot of money to do stuff like that. But, I got out of it for a little while, so I don't really make money off of it anymore. But, it's not for those guys in the industry. And I know that social media presence probably has closed some doors for me. And, that's okay. I'm okay with that. But
right.
What I'm not okay with is that it seems like in this sport, just racing in general, it's like you bust your tail all the time, and it seems like more often than not, the guy that works less ends up getting the pie in the end. And I hate that.
That's a perception.
Yeah, and because nothing against the guys that get to succeed that way. It makes me more bitter towards the system itself rather than those guys, because, man, what I would give to go back and have played football in high school, and then a team, big team, look at me and be like, you want to go pit a cup car next week and end up winning the thing. That's a true story. That happened. And to see that happen,
it does.
Yes, to see that happen as a guy that has put so much into this, it makes you bitter sometimes. And
I agree.
Yeah, I went through a lull where I was.
Oh, we lost him.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, there he
There's
is.
back.
What is going on now? Y'all got me?
Yep, you're back. So you were talking about, going through that lull and where you're at right now, and it's a difficult time, man. You're talking about a perception and what you think, and I'll challenge you with this one. I thought, can you even hear us? He can't even hear us.
Yeah. Another
happened again.
glitch. Yep.
Another glitch.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a Restream conversation.
Yeah,
later.
we're gonna have to have a Restream conversation here in a minute. But can you hear me now, Brandon? Give me a thumbs up. Nope.
Nah,
all right. So we're going to. There he goes. So he went out. He talks about being in that lull. He'll call back in just a minute.
Yeah.
We talk about being in that lull. There he comes.
Yeah.
All right. Want to try again?
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know, my car just decided I was finished, I guess.
We talked about that earlier with Carson Ware and being in that lull and having to just keep getting through it, right? And at some point, I'll challenge you with this. I felt my dream to be in NASCAR was over when I had to go from Las Vegas to Tinker, because I was racing out west with Dick Cobb Racing Enterprises. Did some work on some pretty cool cars, right? I'll name drop a little bit. Chris Trickle, Dick Cobb, raced next to Jim Wolfenstein, raced next to Lance Hooper and a guy that they call Ron Hornaday. You might know him.
No.
But when I had to leave there and take orders, I went to Oklahoma. And, at the time, who's that kid out of Christopher Bell, right? He grew up sprint cars, Oklahoma, right?
Another little known name. Yeah.
That wasn't there back then, right? In the 90s. There wasn't that kind of exposure like it is now. And I thought my whole dream of being in NASCAR was over, and ever really racing again at that higher level was going to be over. And, here we are 30 years later, and our organization is on a race car in Xfinity and truck and ARCA, and people are coming to us. And I tell you these things because you never know what the reality of your dream is until you take a step back and look at it and go, well, maybe my perception was off. I'm already living the dream, right? Maybe you just don't fit in the right area. Maybe you missed that part. Maybe this is your part, all that kind of stuff. Right. So I'll challenge you to just try to be positive over the whole experience, because you're as they say in Rudy, you're 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing, with hardly an ounce of talent. And you held in there with the greatest teams in the country for 6 years. 6 years. Right. Remember that part of it. You're not a D1 athlete, right? You're not a D1 national champion. You do not have that kind of coordination and speed and agility that those guys have. And you have hung in there.
Whoa, Johnny. I'm going to argue. Have you seen his videos? There's
lots
of agility.
And you've hung in there. You've done it. You've done it. You have achieved a dream and competed in NASCAR at the highest levels for 6 years, my friend. And that is an accomplishment. So do not get yourself down. Do not beat yourself up over, I wish I woulda, coulda, shoulda. Man, you lived a dream. I've never hopped the wall on a NASCAR pit stop other than Bakersfield, California, one time. And that was for Winston West. How many times have you done it? Right? You are, no matter what you think, you are living someone else's dream.
Yeah.
You are. And
yeah,
you held in there, brother. It's awesome. It really is.
Yeah, it's I try to look at it that way a lot. And me just being who I am, I always come back to the when my mom always asked me why can't you just go have a normal job? And I was like, there's something in me that doesn't let that happen, and when I was in high school, I wanted to do something difficult, and I wanted to have, some sort of purpose that was beyond just being the hometown guy that never went anywhere, And so that's where the Marine Corps came from, and that goal came from. It was like, I want to go. I'm going to become a Marine. I'm going to become an infantryman. I'm going to go to combat, and I'm going to see what that's about, good or bad, for better or worse. I'm going to live that life. And when I'm done with that, well, we'll see what's next. I've never been the 5 to 10 year plan guy. It's just, I'm going to go and set out to hit this goal. And when I do it, I do it. And, after the Marine Corps, I found myself in such a lull where I didn't have a goal anymore. And I left the Marine Corps with 0 life skills. And that's where a lot of that, the issues that arise that are the main reason this organization exists, guys struggling with that need and that purpose. And when they don't have it, that drives everything. And I wouldn't be nearly the, man or father that I am if I didn't have that purpose to hold on to and strive for, So I looked at NASCAR and I was like, I can't go drive. I'm too old for that. I didn't have the money, to do that. I didn't have the social standing or anything to try to be marketable. So I was like, pit crew, that's, I've always loved watching, pit crew videos and stuff. And my very first race was in 1999. My stepfather took me to Talladega, and I didn't get to meet any drivers, but I met Jeff Gordon's pit crew, and they all signed a hat for me. And so that kind of jumped back out at me, years later. I'm like, that would be something. I think that's where my calling is, And so I attended the NASCAR school up here, and I started thinking about other things, like, they have an engines course there and a fabrication and welding and all that. And it's still all of it was super interesting, but none of it really clicked with me like that. And then we hit the pit crew course, and it came right back. I was like, this is the calling right here. So then my new goal became, one day I'm going to win a race and I'm going to pit a cup car. And I haven't accomplished either one of those things in NASCAR. So
you're not the only one. You're not the only one. I want you to know that. You're not the only one.
I know it.
How many races did Michael Waltrip run before he won one? Was it 400 and something?
It was
before he won the 500.
Yeah, it was super high.
Yeah,
and those are, but that is that guy's story. That's
right.
And I've always wanted. I felt like if I wasn't hitting that goal, it was always going to bother me, and maybe that's something that I need to work out with myself, where I get over it one day and be like, hey, you know what? It was a good run. Because when you're right, I did get to live. God, I'm already talking in past tense about this, but so I did get to live the dream. It's
your dream. Your dream.
Yeah. And a lot of others' dreams, so that's right. That does help me, on the hard days. But so fast forward to now, the last year I was pitting for Jeremy Clements, and that was probably the most fun and the most frustrating year I've had so far. Just from a team standpoint, that team was so family oriented, and it seemed like every single weekend it wasn't the race team fighting their battle and us fighting our own, trying to help them. It was a cohesive thing. We got a lot of feedback from them, and we were able to feed back into them. They asked us, what our needs are, invited us to, sponsored parties and dinners and stuff to go out and connect with them. And that created a sense of camaraderie that we previously hadn't really had a lot of experience with. Being independent for so long, you go work with these teams, excuse me, and you do their pit stops, and that's pretty much where the line is drawn. There's a big wall there. We call it pit wall, but there's a wall, a metaphorical wall there as well, that kind of separates the road crew from the pit crew. And I don't think you can have that and be successful. So to be able to eliminate and knock that wall down, and connect with those guys, everybody from Clements to his father to all the team guys, that was really that was new for us, and it gave us a renewed vigor, our fight came back. I've been working with a lot of those guys for years, and then we also had a jackman I've never worked for before, Tig Willard, who he's just one of those guys that is, on the surface, he's very motivated, very friendly, and he just makes everything better everywhere he goes, because he's just got that central mentality that people gravitate to, and it makes everybody around them feel the same way. And that cohesion was very nice. And we struggled really bad during the year. On the pit side, we broke into the top 10 on SMT data for pit stop times, a couple of different times, top 10 organization. And that was a big deal, because we were looking at teams like, regardless of what car it was like we were looking at teams like JRM being listed as 11th and 12th. And so that was a big deal.
That's a big kick, man. Hell
Big
yeah.
deal. Big deal.
It was a big growing year. And we still had our struggles. We still had pit stops that sucked, and we still had to fix the car a lot because we were getting wrecked left and right, it seemed like. But, at year's end, it seemed like we were going to break away from being independent, and we were just going to pit for them, this coming year. And that's kind of where we put all of our eggs. And the issue with putting all your eggs in one basket is that when the basket gets yoked up by sorry, I shouldn't say that. So when the basket gets yoked up by somebody with more money and a flashier name, then you're left unemployed. So we weren't able to really do anything with that. Truthfully, it didn't go far into the process before we figured out that probably wasn't going to be a possibility. And I was looking at getting out of the sport. Then I had a friend call me and said that there was a team that needed help. They run in the WRL series on the sports car side. And it's a BMW team called Team ACP. And so I was like, yeah, I did a couple races with them last year, just a couple. And we won a race at Coda in November. And so that or December, sorry. So that kind of gave me this renewed, purpose. It's like, well, now I've won a race. It wasn't in NASCAR, but I won a race.
Right.
And so that kind of reignited that fire a little bit. And so I started trying to branch out a little bit more. So, now my hands aren't tied. I can, reach out, and I feel like as long as I'm honest and I work hard, that, this thing's going to work out for me. Well, the problem is being honest, it doesn't exactly get you super far in the sport. And I hate to put it like this, but a lot of times it seems like racing is just a bunch of good old buddies walking around stabbing each other in the back a little bit. It sucks, but it seems like that's the way it is, because you got guys that are almost taking food off your table a little bit here and there, but then you see them at the racetrack and they're like your best buds, And I think that's a little bit less. I used to think that was just the scummiest thing in the world, that's just twisted. That's not the way things should be, but it is. And I learned along the way that it's not personal. It's just business. You hear
it's
that
just
a lot.
Business. I took it as a personal attack a lot of times, right? And you can't.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, it's very hard. And then when you turn your mindset to, I got to take care of myself and my family and my business, then you start thinking, well, I'm just an asshole. I'm a dick. Well, no, you're taking care of your shit. And that's a mindset deal, right? That's a mindset deal. That's a hard one. That you're not wrong in your thinking. I'm there a lot myself as well. But hey, we have reached out to a couple of our partners to see if we can't get you on a team here shortly, at least maybe some one-off stuff for you. We are not going to leave you hanging. We will definitely call some of our friends and get you somewhere as best that we can, at least get you an interview, at least a phone call for you. We'll see what we can do there. Where are you at now? You're still in North Carolina, right? Concord?
Yep.
Is that where it was?
I live in Moxville out here with my family out in the sticks where nobody can hear me. It's nice.
But see, everybody hears you because you're the Pit Marine on TikTok, brother. 500,000 followers.
Yeah.
You know what's really cool though, man, for me is like watching you over, since I met you, shit, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, I think. And just watching your growth and who you've been with and, the videos and all of it, man, it's been cool for me to be, I say part of it, but not really, but just watching, and getting those hugs from you at the track, man, those are cool times. We yelled at you in Atlanta and you kind of turn around like, what the hell are you doing here? Right. And then there we are getting a big hug and everybody's looking at us like, what are these guys? What are these coconuts doing? Right. But I don't care, man. Like, to me, that makes it all worth it. Like, to see you smile and get that big hug, man. To me, that's worth it because you're still here. You're still doing it. You're still giving it 100%, man. You're doing what you can do to make it the best it can be for you. And that's respectable. That's all any of us can ask, man.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
the kind of stuff we promote with Safe 22 Motorsports, man. Go do what makes you happy.
Yep.
Right? Go do what makes you happy. I got notes here that, when we struggle and you self-isolate, you self-sabotage, you don't put yourself back out there to go do the things that you love to do. You're denying an acceptance of yourself, right? You're denying an acceptance of others. You're not fighting a lack of confidence, right? You got beat one time, twice, 3 times, whatever it was. And now you're like, well, maybe I can't. Well, yeah. Mikey got beat 400 times too before he won the 500. So, keep your ears open, bro. Keep your the vision out there. Be open to the universe. Allow yourself to fail. Allow yourself to try. Take that step. And man, you've done that. And Safe 22 couldn't be more prouder to have been a very small part of your motorsports diversion therapy journey. I guess
it was no small part. As that was a good time. At Atlanta, I hate it because there's so many times I'm like, this race weekend, I'm gonna find a way. Like, if Johnny or Albert out there is like, I'm gonna set aside some time, and then it never happens that way you planned it. So
you're right.
That was probably the only time I smiled that entire day. So it was it was nice to see y'all, and it has not played a small role. It's I might not have been engaged as much with Save 22 in 4 or 5 years, but it never goes away. And if I'm struggling, I do think about our times and our talks and what do you guys do for other veterans, and that's just it seems like a small part, but it's not. It plays a big role, and what y'all do is pretty serious. And here's hoping after we get things rolling smoothly again, I can get more involved. As of right now, I mean, I'm working with an IMSA team. We're trying to see how things go, because the biggest problem with trying to get experience, because I've been a pit guy forever, so I'm trying to learn a car. I would like to be considered an IMSA technician and be able to work on the cars and do more than just change the tires, because in sports car racing you have to be able to do both. Right. So I'm trying to learn. The problem with getting experience is that 90% of places require experience, right? And finding the way to do that has been hard. And they've worked with me a lot. As I did the Core Motorsports Mustangs at Daytona. It's the Michelin Pilot race, so it's not the 24-hour, but it's the race before. It's kind of like their Busch series, if you will. So I did those Mustangs up there, and man, those guys push, and they push to win, and they do not care for little mistakes. And I like that, because I've always kind of thrived off of the pressure of things like that. The problem is that I've been in NASCAR for so long. I have so many habits and muscle memory, muscle memory is wired a certain way. And so doing a completely different discipline at pit stop is tough.
It is.
And so you go, the way that those lug nuts are much smaller, the sockets are smaller. The lug nuts are protruded back into the wheels, so they're harder to get to. So if you try to hit them like a NASCAR stop, you look like an ass. And everybody
it ain't happening. Yeah, it ain't happening.
So that caught me off guard, but we're working on that. I have a good relationship with Billy Johnson, the driver over there. He also drives for the BMW team every
Nice.
now and then. And Billy is he's a Ford household name. You know, if they got a fast car and need somebody to drive it, they'll call Billy. You know, so incredibly talented driver, a great person, mentor, if you will. You know, for the sports car side, and having a good relationship with Case B. Jones, who owns the BMW team. That's helped me out a lot, try to find my footing and my new purpose in this motorsports world where NASCAR is no longer the center of my world, you know.
Right.
Because I'm only part-time in NASCAR right now. Whenever the 92 Xfinity car runs, you know, I'll help them out on that. But they're not running a lot, so I'm having to find ways to fill these holes in the schedule. And you know, I have a budget to stick to, and if I can't make that budget, then things get hard. So sports car stuff pays better, but they only race, you know, 12, 13 races out of the year per series.
Right.
That gets hard, but you know, I would love to be back in NASCAR full time again. If I can't, you know, find a permanent home in the sports car world where I can learn and grow there. It sucks so bad, you know, because you know that if I were put in the right position, I'll work my ass off to make it happen, you know. But you have to be put in the position, and that's just so hard to
You got to
deal
go
with.
get that position, brother. You got to go get that position. You know, that's hard stuff. What thing I have noticed is I've gotten older. I'm really digging that sports car stuff, like the BMW, the Mustang groups, the Porsches. That's really cool racing, man.
It is
like 16 to 20 cars, 2 to 6 hours at a time, like team driving, endurance. That's really cool stuff, I think. And you know what? Go play. Go do it. Right? Go do it. Because man, them GT3s or GTPs and Daytona prototypes, those are cool. Those are really cool.
They are
really cool cars.
I dream of touching one of those cars one day, but
absolutely.
I don't have the engineering degree to ever work on
not
one.
Yet.
So no, I don't have it in me. I don't have enough left in the tank to go get an engineering degree. I don't think.
Right. That's a lot. That's a lot. Brandon, thank you for jumping on with us today. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your story. Always good to talk to you. Hopefully we can get you to a track and we'll see you at the team somewhere on pit road very soon. Save 22 is going to be down at Martinsville for the truck race and maybe for the Xfinity race. Hey, be on the lookout, man. We might send you a text. You can join us and just partake as a spectator this time.
That's good with me, man.
All right, brother. Well, good. Thank you again for joining us.
Absolutely. I'll see y'all in Martinsville.
All right, Brandon. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk at you soon.
All right, brother. See you.
All right, guys. Take care. All right. Man, another good interview. We got all motorsports today. We got to change topic here.
Hey, I got to step away for just a quick second. I'll be right back.
All right. We're going to keep this going because he cut out before I could continue talking. Our hike, Save 22's annual hike, is May 3rd this year in Massillon, Ohio. I'm going to try to bring up the webpage and show y'all a little something. So we'll go to share screen. And here we go. So when you come up to that link at the bottom there, save22.vet, the first thing that pops up is going to be our registration for this year's hike. May 3rd this year, Massillon, Ohio. You have your participant registration, you have vendor registration, and volunteer registration. These are all for the hike this year. Please, if you're going to visit us, whether you're going to hike or not, please sign up right there under the participant registration. And what you will see is your name, your email address. Wait, it's coming. Are you coming?
Wait for it.
No. Oh, it opened up in a new window. All right. So we have to go back over here.
They can see it.
and do it this way. And then we do this. See, we're all learning, brah. We're all learning.
Yeah,
There's
there we
your hike
go.
participation guide. Please do not use Tom Cruise. That line is taken. Things with a splat you're going to need to fill out. Those are required. Simply your name, your email address, if you want to be on our email listing, if you've served an adult or not. This other participant information, right? The phone number and the address, that is just for us, right? To make sure that we see where our people are coming from and kind of see where our reach is. The emergency contact name and phone number, obviously, if you have an incident at the hike, we want to be able to call somebody for you. If it is a company or an organization, we would ask that you please bring that in there and who that is. If they would like a sponsorship organization, sponsorship letter, or be part of our hike, please have them reach out to us, info@safe22.vet, or they can come straight to me. We are going to ask about your mental health impact, right? You can answer it. I do believe there is one that says other, and then you can just put none or choose not to answer. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. Really, it is. We'll be fine. Sign your waiver, check the box, hit submit. We're all good to go, right? So there's your hike registration. You can also be a vendor. You can volunteer. All the same type of information on those links that all pop up. Once we get rid of that, you can subscribe today. We'll come back over here to our share screen. And right over here, you can subscribe today to our upcoming events and program activities. Again, we are working on this. This is an active mission of ours right now to get this out and about. So bear with us. Once you get onto our main page, you'll see it right here, who we are, how to get involved, our amendments wall, our donate button, all that stuff. Thank you to Josh for rehashing our website most recently. I think it was less than a month ago. So, man, big ups to him. It looks great. It flows well. I really, really enjoy being on this website for us. You can check out our volunteers, see some of the things that we do, what we advocate for. And then down at the bottom here, we've got some pictures of our previous hike deployments, our very first one in Carrollton, all the way up until last year's 8th deployment there down in Massillon. Great stuff. We do have some partners down here at the bottom you can take a look at. Put this bad boy up here like this. The Taylor Foundation, Face the Fight, Stark County Suicide Prevention. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention these guys, right? And then Josh has been working, feverishly with WDOGFM, the Rock Dog, and Armageddon Fest in Atlantic City to get Save 22 presence out there. Ryan Roulette, Mike Harmon, and Lex June Racing, all great people. And then Only Ford with the car shows down there in the Carolina area. Thank you very much to all of them. We couldn't do what we do without your partnerships. So we thank you very, very much. I'm going to stop sharing now, and then we're going to go back to Al because I think Al's back.
I am. I've been here for a minute.
All right, Al. What do you got today? Because I think I'm pretty much done. What do you got today?
I just want to keep pushing that hike registration. Make sure you fill out those forms so we can. First of all, it's insurance. We have to have everybody sign that registration, whether you do it online or in person. Online is much easier because literally when you show up, we have an alphabetical sheet. Check your name, give you your wristband that says that you checked in, so we know you're covered for our insurance for the day, and we're good to go after that. Can't stress that. Please go register. If you have any questions, reach out through social medias, info@save22.vet, anything like that. Keep an eye on socials for some upcoming news, shall we say, that will hopefully be handled by the end of the week.
I think so. It will be.
I'm pretty confident it'll be handled today, but we'll say end of week just to make sure.
We'll get it worked on.
Yeah,
we'll get it worked on.
So there's some more news coming that way, and there's some other sponsors on there too that do things that are partnerships that we have that aren't on there as well. That we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Sam Center, Hutton House, things like that. These are all people that are great partners. There's reciprocal work back and forth. There's no judgment, no expectation. Hey, can you help? Yep. What do you need? What can you guys do? Like it's that easy. It really is. So I'm pretty excited, man. 10 years, bro.
10
10
years,
years.
man. 10
10
years we have
years.
been an official nonprofit. It's
Yep.
amazing. You know, I got involved 9.5 years ago with my own suicidal ideations that since we have determined, or I have determined, or worked out, or whatever, that it was a pharmaceutical issue, right? Like the pharmaceuticals and the things that the VA was giving me, just, man, what a horrible concoction for me.
Yep.
And the only way to get out of it was to put them all down. And it's
Yep.
taken, 9 years to get where I'm at right
Yep.
now.
And I will,
it's not easy, guys.
No, and with what you just said too, I think it's very, very important for people to understand, especially if you're using VA, the VA side of it. There is a pharmacy doctor at your VA that you are eligible to get appointments with. My pharmacy doc found us out, same thing that you were going through. A lot of these medicines are fighting each other. They're just beating the hell out of your brain and your body. So
Right.
my pharmacy doc has got, we had conversations about where I want to be and what I want to take and not take. I'm off all my pills, man. I take 3 a day because I have to. Those are the maintenance drugs. The rest of the stuff I don't even take anymore, man. I don't. So pharmacy doc, anybody that's struggling with meds, pharmacy doc, definitely get yourself an appointment. Sorry, I had to share that.
No, you're good. We're not talking about don't take your pills, right?
Right.
That's not what we're saying.
No.
What we're saying is go talk to that pharmacy doc and be like, hey, this is the list they're giving me, and I don't think it's working because of whatever. I don't feel right. Can you tell me, are these okay? You know what? My local pharmacy at Giant Eagle, the guy behind the pharmacist here is a motorcyclist, right? So he and I always started talking about riding and motorcycles and things like that. And then one day I just pulled to the back and I said, hey, do you have a minute to talk to me about some stuff? He said, absolutely. What do you want to talk about? And I showed him the list and I said, this is how I'm feeling. And this is what they're giving me. Is that normal? Oh yeah. Those are big side effects. Absolutely.
Right.
And you're probably feeling those.
Yep.
Am I okay to just stop taking this? I wouldn't, but you do you.
Right.
And have those conversations. And I think so many times, many of us are just like, hey, that's not working. So I'm just going to keep doing it because I'm familiar with it, but it's not where I want to be. Right. I'm not happy. Okay. Well, why aren't you happy? You have to examine that kind of stuff. You really, really have to examine it. Right. You can't just say, take a pill and be happy. It doesn't work that way.
No.
Right. And you have to do the work. You have to do the work. And then when we talk about work, that's the therapy, right?
Yeah.
That's the therapy. That's talking with somebody. That's having something to do. So let's talk about therapy real quick, because you, me, Chops, and Hacker are taking off this weekend. We are going to go do an event in Salisbury, North Carolina, known as Counter Steer. A friend of mine from the military way back when we were younger, and we both had all our hair. Dave Cryer got with me earlier this year and said, hey, we have an event in Salisbury this year. Our facility is going to be open. We want you to come down. And what Counter Steer does, let's see if we can pull it up and share their page website real quick on them while I'm talking. They take guys out, veterans, and teach them how to ride. Essentially. Nope, that's not it. All right. I got the wrong link. So they put veterans on motorcycles. It's a diversion therapy, right? Mm-hmm. It's what we do. It's what we advocate for, whether it's you get your therapy from fishing or golf or nature activities or motorsports, whatever. That's what they're doing. Dave is an official instructor. I learned about him when we were floor mates, I guess you'd call it. We were on the same floor in the dorms in Korea. And he's just always been a rider, street bike rider mostly. He did some flat track racing, and now he goes and brings veterans for a day of events at a track. Unfortunately, our injuries, me and you and Hacker, we're not going to be able to ride, but we're going to be there and participate in the activity. Samson Chops is going to ride. So we'll get to experience all that. Us four have gotten a house. We're going to stay. We're going to have our own bonding time at the end, or therapy time, or whatever you want to call it at the end of it. And then we're going to set out on Sunday morning for a group breakfast and some group sessions, and then we're all going to head our separate ways. I'm excited, right?
Yeah.
Dave's been reaching out to me for a couple years to come down and visit him, and it just hasn't worked out. So I'm very excited to go check out Countersteer and to report back to everyone on what it was like and what it did for us. And, hopefully we can have Samson and Hacker back on next week or the week after, and they can talk about their experiences down at Countersteer and, again, build that partnership, right? They're doing the same thing we are, providing a diversion therapy for veterans and first responders. So let's talk, right? Let's just talk. What do you see happening? How did you see it happen? What's it done for you? How's it worked? Right? Why did you start this? The same stuff. And just be vulnerable for that. Just be vulnerable for a day. And it doesn't have to be the whole day either, guys. Right? Like, where's Cinder? Cinder's not on today. He is very good at compartmentalizing what we used to call compartmentalizing, or pushing it down or pushing it away. I'm choosing to call it mindfulness of the moment now, right? He has been instrumental in reminding me over these past couple weeks, since Moto, and my own thoughts and processes, that eventually at some point you have got to shut the fuck up and move forward. Right? You can't keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it if you're not going to do anything about it. Right? So that'll be the challenge. You talk about it, you figure out the problem, you figure out what you're doing wrong and how to change it, and then you implement it, and don't talk about it anymore. Right? Don't keep coming back and saying, well, I feel this way. Well, do you feel that way, or are you just transferring your mind back there? Because that's what I do. Right? I'm a very happy individual. I'm very content. You and I talked about that a long time ago, with Trisha being so correct when I was confusing contentment with laziness, right? Like, so because I wasn't doing anything for a couple, 3 days on there, or what I thought I wasn't doing anything, I felt I was lazy. And that is not the case, right? I was content, right? I was confusing contentment, that I had done everything I needed to do and I'm allowed to relax and enjoy it, right? That's still a very hard one for me to do.
Yeah.
Right? To sit alone with your own thoughts, or sit with your wife and watch a show and not be thinking about 900 other things, right? Train your brain to come back, right? Everything is fine at that moment, right? You're breathing, you're warm, you're cool, you're dry, you're fed, everything is fine, right? And in that moment, you're fine. That's the mindfulness of moment,
right?
And then you'll hear therapists talk about dissociation. Well, I don't dissociate. I'm always where I'm supposed to be. Are you? Let's really examine that. Right? Because I'm not. I realized I'm not. I'm horrible to myself at missing the moment. And I think a lot of us are. So it'll be really interesting, I think, to spend 6 hours in the truck with Hacker and Chops. And then spend 3 more days with those guys and you around a whole bunch of other guys doing the same stuff.
Right.
That'll be interesting, because I'll be honest with you, I've never been that guy. Right. I have not been the one to go get the therapy, to get the diversion.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see how the experience is for me. Because I went through the Motorcycle Relief Project out in Colorado. And I was in a sidecar for that, because it's not that I can't ride. Very limited feeling in right leg. Quick stop or turn. If I put my foot down and miss, I take people out. So that's why I don't ride anymore. That's one of the reasons. Plus, my mom would still kill me from the other side. My wife would kill me. My dad would probably drag me down the road. But put that all aside. I'm curious to see what Countersteer has to offer. See if I get that same feeling, like just being around, and I'm sure I will, because I'm a gearhead. Just the bikes ripping around, like, is that enough? You know what I mean? Like, is that enough? Right? What's that gonna do? I'm curious. I'm really open-minded and curious about what it's gonna be like, knowing that you're not going to ride.
Right. So
I'm curious. I'm really curious to see if just watching the joy of other people what that does. I'm really, really curious. So
Well,
I'm
all
excited,
right.
man. I'm excited.
I'm gonna ask you, why do you think, why would it be different?
I
Why do
don't
you
know if
think the
it will.
experience will be different? Because you and I get down to Daytona and Atlanta, and when we get to these races, and we're
As soon as you hear that
100%
motor,
comfortable.
as soon as you hear that motor,
Good.
yeah,
What are you thinking about, right? Like,
yeah.
why do you beat yourself up over why the self-sabotage? Why are we taking ourselves that way, right?
Because I'm looking. I know why I'm doing it.
I know why I'm doing it. You know why you're doing it.
Yeah. So yeah,
Maybe other people don't understand that that's what they do. And
right,
that's
right.
why they don't, we
and
talked about it. You're
and that's what I want to
self-isolating. You're
see.
not going out there. Yeah.
Right. I want to see if it goes away that quick too with the crank of a throttle. Like I really want to.
I
I'm
think it
really,
will.
I'm really excited to be around first motorcycles again. uh, and I'm just curious. That's all. I have
Right.
no expectation. I want to be clear. I have no expectation. I'm
No.
excited. Gonna hang around some vets and first responders and just be us, man. Just keep showing up. That's what we
Just
keep
keep
telling each
showing
other.
up.
Just keep showing up.
You
You
know,
know?
a lot of notes from Carson's thing.
Yeah.
All those things that we talk about, the living without using, the self-isolating to protect yourself, and then allowing yourself to go out there and figure out how to live without that crutch, right? Without that
Right.
using, the acceptance of both my own limitations,
Right.
right? You and I have talked ad nauseum about how I have always, my personal experience, right? If I set my mind to it, I went and did it. And I'm coming to a point in my life where it's not working like I wanted it to. And I'm going to say the words. I know it's not true, but I'm going to say the words because I don't know a better word to use yet.
Okay.
Failing in my mind.
Okay.
Okay. Failing, thinking I failed at something when the reality is you gave it everything you had, everything that you knew how to do, and it's not working. So
Right.
step away and reevaluate it. And if you can continue, continue. If not, find another avenue. And
It,
that's a hard one.
yeah.
When
And sometimes, man, it's just not our path. It's that
it's
simple.
not,
It's just not. You know, it's just not. Some things are just not for everybody. They're not. Some people excel at other things that I am not good at. So you know what? I've learned. It's not that I won't attempt it. Hey, man, I'm not very good at this. You're spectacular. How about you help? Right. And that's the difference with the mindset that I have now than I
yep,
used to, that's changed for me. Is before I would just do it and try to 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 do it and try and over and over and over and over and over with no success or very limited, what I perceive very limited progression. When in fact, I was doing okay. We're all
yeah,
doing okay, right? It's the expectation we put on ourselves of where we want to be and where we think others should be, and we have to meet others where they're at. We can't get them where we want them to be. We got to
is
meet
that
them
a
where they're at.
senior chief line?
That's a senior chief line right there.
I don't think
Yep.
he got on this morning. He's been
Pat would be
busy.
happy with that one. Yep. But
Uh,
that one has stuck with me for a while. You can't expect people to be where you want them to be. You have to meet them where they're at in their journey, right? Everybody's journey is theirs. It's not ours to judge or push or divert. It's not. It's their journey to get to where they need to be.
it is.
So having Carson and Brandon on today, perfect examples, right? Perfect.
Yeah,
They
perfect.
both know. They both know there's work to do. They both know they have the ability. They both know they have the capability, right? It's just they have to work through the process to get where they need to be. That's the way it is. So the only thing we can do is say, "Hey man, if you fall, we'll pick you up. You're struggling, we'll talk,
Yep.
and mean it and do it. It's that simple." So that's all I got today. I really
I mean, you almost have to keep it that simple for your own damn self, right?
and I've learned.
Stop analyzing, stop talking,
Yep.
right? And everybody laughs. That you can't say that everybody laughs. I love the way that certain individuals in my tight circle look at me and say, "Take your own and advice,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I talk to people, 99% of the time I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's why I'm so good at it. That's why you're so good at it, because we're talking to our own damn selves.
Yeah, we're working through our stuff
Yeah.
right here.
Right.
So,
Through everybody else.
yeah.
And they just happen to see it. That's just kind of who we are. Josh said chill pills aren't a thing anymore. Dude, this ain't 1984. But
yeah, I wish I could.
I don't think Josh was around in 1984.
I wish I could find a chill pill.
Right. Right. He said, yes, I was. What were you, 2? You weren't that old.
I don't know how old Link is. Really.
I don't know how old he is either. I have no idea.
I don't want to say 40 because I don't want to.
I don't either. I don't want
to. But I'm thinking like late 30s ish.
I don't know. He's not going to say now.
He's like, screw you guys. Watch this.
He said no. I ain't saying nothing.
So,
hey, I think this has been a great.
Yep.
This has been a great couple hours this morning.
Yep.
Appreciate y'all being patient with us and not being on last week. I don't know that it will be an every week thing, right?
Yeah.
We at Save 22, I myself personally, right? We're not 100% sure that this is how we're going to do this stuff, but it is something that we're trying. We're working it out, and we're going to see how it works.
And
so far, it's not bad.
And honestly, if anybody's got any suggestions, Tuesday talk at save22.vet, throw some stuff in there. Would you like to see it once a week, once a month, once every 2 weeks? Honestly, I'm willing to change and do what people would like to see.
Yeah, I am too. This is what we started for our own selves, right? Because of what I did with Straight Talk for 2 years or 3 years, whatever I did with that. I wasn't too afraid of starting. I thought this might be what people like to hear. I don't know. So please get down into that Tuesday talk right there, right? Tuesday talk at save22.vet and email us, right? Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. If you have guests ideas, right? Partnership ideas, people we should interview that have struggled or are doing the same thing that we're doing, and want to get their word out, their network, grow their network bigger. I mean, granted, there's 6 people watching right now. I don't know how big your network's going to get from watching our YouTube channel, but the Steve. Hey, Steve, you're here today. Thanks, buddy. Hope you're doing well.
Once a week. There we go. Getting feedback. Getting
feedback right away. And people we can talk to, right? Steve might be a good one to actually have on here. Very early in his retirement and his story, right? Been dealing with a lot. Maybe he'll come on and talk. I know that a couple guys after Moto's suicide and funeral, they piped up and said, man, it makes me want to share my story even more. Right. So kudos to everyone who has reached out, who has talked about everything that has happened in the last month or so. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for understanding. Albert and I and Riley this afternoon have another one, another meeting that we're going to go to and see where that pans out. And we're just going to keep trying, right? That's all we can do. There's
keep showing up. Keep showing up.
I'm not going to worry about making it look good. I'm going to worry about just making it good.
Yep.
So Josh did some stuff in the background for us. He told us this morning that he wasn't going to have time for it, but he ended up doing it. I don't know if I can get to it just yet. We have Josh made us an opening video and a closing video. I'm not going to try to put them out there just now because
no, it's not. We'll work on that.
Yeah, we'll work on that one. I don't know if I want to put that out there just yet.
We'll throw a little teaser. That's a little teaser for next show, right?
I trust you. But next week, look for the intro and the outgo from Josh Link. So,
thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Really appreciate it. Share it with all your friends, brother. Share it with everybody. Put it on your social medias. Email us.
And too, John, we said it earlier. It's a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m.
It is, and we still got people coming on.
There's a lot of people working. So, sharing this, putting it out there, others will see it. They will. Our views are getting, it's starting to catch some traction on the backside, on the data side of it. So we are doing
I don't
something
know any of
right.
that shit.
Yeah, people are watching, so it's good, man. It's good. We're doing the right thing, and just being raw and real, I think is where we strive.
I think that's where we excel.
Yep, yep.
You know.
So
All
again, I want to leave with this, man.
right, go ahead.
Please go to save22.vet, sign up for the hike. Even if you're coming just to stand around and not do anything, please go register. Please, so
Yeah,
we can get
it's a
those
numbers
bands.
game.
So we can get the number. Well, it's an insurance thing too, man. We have to make sure that we have traceability in case something would ever happen.
Right.
Um,
Right.
that's it. And it's not a problem until it's a problem. So please, please,
Right.
I'm begging, please.
Don't beg. Doesn't suit you.
No, I'm begging. Listen, I'm pleading. Please go fill out the forms online, please.
Yeah, and we went over that earlier, so you can get that right there at the link, save22.vet, right? It pops right up. Josh
Follow
says
the
don't make him
socials.
hunt you down. So listen,
Yep.
if you pull the Wizard of Oz out from behind his curtain, it's going to be a bad damn day for you, okay? So
Yeah.
don't pull the wizard out from behind the curtain. He doesn't like to come out during the daylight hours. All right?
Yep. Yep.
Don't make him angry.
Yeah. Again, thank you for everybody. Carson, Brandon, anybody that's watching, that stuck around with us for a couple hours. Appreciate it. And
Yeah.
we'll see you.
Hey, we'll see you next week. Maybe we'll do it next week on Tuesday, and we'll have something to talk about with counter steer, and maybe we can get Dave on. Dave to talk about his stuff.
Yep.
And what went on and how it went on. And eventually, you know, maybe we can get Hacker and Chops to come on and talk about their experiences. And then look, man, in 2 weeks, we're going to be down at Martinsville, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to be at Martinsville with the truck and maybe a little certain someone, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, know what I mean? Should have some info for us by the end of the week. And we'll be right there.
Yep. I'm thinking we're going to discuss that today too and try
What's going to happen?
Try to make Martinsville a thing. I think we need to try. Charlotte's coming up. Talladega's coming up. Man.
Yeah, Charlotte 4 wide. So the NHRA is going to be at Charlotte on the 4 wide track, April
25th, 6th, and 7th.
5, 6, and 7. And ARCA and Xfinity will be at Talladega 26, 27.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going to try to work something out that at least I can be at both of them somehow, some way. And we're going to have, I think it's 7 veterans from the VFW will be down on the ARCA track. We haven't worked out exactly how many we're bringing to Charlotte for the 4 wide, but I think it's going to be somewhere around the 5 to 7 number.
I'm going to try to max at 10. So
keep in mind, guys, look, we do have to keep these things limited in size because budget number 1, right? And then 2, how many people can I or Albert can we actually manage? And I say manage, keep track of, mind, whatever you want to call it. How many conversations can we hold at one time, right? So we want to keep it at a maximum of 4 to 5 per Safe 22 representative when we go to an event, and that's where we're at. So if we have only 1 volunteer to be in an event, you might only get 3 to 5 people at that event, and that's for our own sanity, right?
Yeah.
There are partnerships in the work right now where we might have other opportunities and other ways to get you to the track without a Safe 22 participant. We're looking at those types of things. I'm not 100% sure that that's going to happen. But hey, it is what it is right now. So look, just keep in mind, make sure you sign up for the newsletter, get down there. I got to learn this backwards thing. Tuesday talk at save22.vet. Email us. Tell us what you'd like to see. Email a goat. Do I need a goat?
Don't email a goat.
A guest. Email us a guest invite, right? Or you know what? If you need us to come to your event, you want to raise some money for us, raise some awareness for veterans and first responder mental health, you know, reach out to us, info@save22.vet, or me, Jay Moser at save22.vet, A Wooden at save22.vet. Just go to save22.vet and you'll find a way to get a hold of us. right? Email the show, Tuesday Talk. Maybe we can do a live remote someday at your event for you, with you, in conjunction with, partner with, all those buzzwords. I'm going to leave it go now because I got a physiological need that needs to be taken care of. Too much coffee needs to be coming out. So we're going to end this bad boy, and I'm going to get on with you here in another meeting here very, very shortly. So
Yes, sir.
thank you, everyone who joined today. Thanks to Carson, Brandon, Karen for being on there, Josh for keeping us going with the chat. We'll take a look at those videos he did for us. Steve, my brother, Gravedigger, we can call him. I don't know if he'll like that or not, but hey, looking forward to seeing you again too. Would love to have you come on and join us as a guest as well and talk about what Save 22's outreach has done for you. Would be greatly appreciated. So again, thank you all. Next week, we'll have the intro. We'll have the outro. It won't just end like this, and we'll have something to look forward to. So thank you all.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day.